Hey, welcome my friends. Today we're gonna make some fake Cadbury cream eggs and caramel eggs. So I'm gonna start out with my Crayola air dry clay, and then we're gonna form it into an egg shape. And just to give you a reference point, the Cadbury eggs are about 2 inches long and about 1.25 inches wide. So 2 inches this way, 1.25 inches this way. If you want it realistic sized. And try to get it as smooth as you can. If you need to smooth anything out, just run your finger across it and it'll smooth any cracks or anything. Once you've got it shaped and smoothed how you want it, we're gonna start making the design. So grab a toothpick. So the first thing I'm gonna start with is they have like a little star in the center. So I'm gonna make that first and then I can work around that. So this top point is longer. And then we need to make like an oval ring around this. And when you get these little crumbs, just brush those right off. Lightly, try not to mess up your lines you just made. And then we need to make another line around that, another oval around that. And then we're going to make one last oval. And the same design needs to go on the other side. So we need to turn it over and do the same thing. Be careful not to touch what you just did so you don't mess it up. And then on the edge, like around here, there's a line where they've put it back together, put the two pieces together to put the filling in. So you can just make a line all the way around. So now I want to make it so that it is open so that we can see the inside of it. So to do that, I'm just going to use my clay blade. You can actually use a cookie cutter or something like that if you'd like. I'm going to take a popsicle stick and kind of press this in so that I have a little bit of an indentation here. So I'm going to do it to the thickness that I want the chocolate shell to be. Now, one other thing, I don't want this chocolate part to look so perfect. I want it to look like it's kind of been bitten off or broken off. So I'm just going to take my popsicle stick and kind of make some grooves in it, make it stick up in some spots, make it go down in some spots. And as I'm doing this, I'm kind of going back over any details if they start getting messed up from my fingers or whatever. Just going back over and fixing it up if I need to. Okay, so if you have the time, I would say let these dry for a little bit. I would say let them dry overnight, so then that way you can paint them a lot easier. I, of course, did not do that, so I'm just going to go ahead and paint mine while they're wet, which you can do. It just makes it a little more difficult. So for the paint color, I'm going to use my melted chocolate. And then I'm going to add some gloss Mod Podge to it. So for the mixture, I'm going to do about half paint and half Mod Podge. And that'll give us our nice glossy chocolate look. And be sure that you don't get so much paint on there that it fills in your details that you made with your toothpick. And then let your paint dry before you do the next step. So for the caramel one, we're going to use our 100% silicone. So I'm just going to put some into a cup here. And then I'm going to color this with my alcohol ink. So for this color, I'm going to use one drop of brown, and then one drop of orange, and one drop of yellow. I'm going to mix that together and just see how the color looks. So I want to add some more orange and yellow to this to brighten it up. It's got quite a bit of brown, so I think the brown's good, but let's see. So we need some more yellow. Now this color is right, but it's a little bit too dark, and also the caramel has a little bit of a cloudy look to it. So you can either add white alcohol ink or you can add just one drop of white paint. So I'm going to go with the white paint. And again, I'm just going to put this on my paper here so I can just add a little bit at a time. I don't want it to get too solid looking. So I didn't even need a whole drop of white. It was just the tiniest little speck. And then one more thing, I want to loosen this up a little bit because it's, you know, it doesn't have that flowy look like the Cadbury eggs do. So to do that, I'm going to use mineral spirits. And you can get these at the hardware store near where the paint is. So I'm just going to put a little bit in there and then mix it around. That's going to take away a little bit of that gooiness that the silicone has and make it more like a drippy, flowy caramel. Okay, so now we're ready to put this in. So again, if you want to make some dripping out, you can do that. So for the cream egg filling, we're going to use our silicone again. So for this one, I'm going to be very careful with how much color I put in because the filling is white, but it's not completely solid white. So I'm going to put a drop of white there, and then I'm going to add a drop of antique white to that as well because it's not perfectly white either. It's an off-white. So I'm going to mix those together. And then I'm going to add just a little bit at a time to my silicone. And then for the yellow part, I'm going to use silicone again. You won't need too much of this, so don't make too much of the yellow unless you're making multiples. So I'm going to use my apple barrel yellow. Just a tiny bit. So again, just put it off to the side and just add a little at a time so you make sure not to put too much. Now the center of this is also a little orangey, so I'm going to also add a little bit of jack-o'-lantern. So I'm just going to put a dot to the side here and just add a tiny bit of that. We don't want this to be super orange. I think that looks about right. So now we need to loosen both of these up with the mineral spirits. Okay, so I'm just going to put some of my whitish mixture in. Now you could also do this with caulk if you wanted, but because the caulk is so solid colored, it may not look as realistic. But if that's what you have and you don't want to buy silicone, you can definitely try that. And then we'll put a little bit of the yellow in there. And then I'm just going to take a toothpick and kind of move this yellow around where I want it and kind of blend it in with the white a little bit. So just let that dry. The silicone takes a little while to dry, so just give it a couple of days or so and check on it and see. If you want to see more Easter fake bakes, be sure to check out this fake jelly bean tutorial that's on your screen right now. Thank you so much. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you next time.